From your perspective as an academic and then a political scientist, I'd like you to describe the evolution of Nigeria's democratic culture over the last 26 years. Are we growing really, or we are merely going through the motions?
Thank you very much again. Good morning, my colleagues, Jide and Eze. It's a pleasure seeing you again. I think I share the views that have been expressed by both Eze and Jide as far as the situation of Nigeria's civil rule is concerned in the last 26 years. I'm not sure if really we're making progress. What I think we are making more or less is we are progressing in error. In the sense that you tend to see so many things that are made evolving out of our political system that ordinarily by now, after 26 years, we should have gone past it. One would have thought that in 26 years, just like Jide said, and Eze, you become an adult. If you are born 26 years ago, certainly you are an adult. You must have been a graduate, probably a worker, or at least somebody who is smart, and so on and so forth. So 26 years really is not 26 days or 26 weeks. And one would expect that, during this period, a lot of things must have happened that have successfully shaped, the nature and character of political intercourse and governance in Nigeria. But unfortunately, what we are seeing today seems to be a retraction of the progress that we are supposed to have made. One is that we have not successfully built virile political institutions that by now we would proudly say in 26 years we have been able to build a political party system that is stronger than it was in 1999 when the civil rules started, or even in 2003. We have not been also able to establish a ruling class or bring up a ruling class that has central, to its focus the wishes and aspirations of the Nigerian people. And then, of course, by now, I expected also the Nigerian political elite, those in the political, parties aspiring for representation, would have built sufficient level of maturity to the extent we would say we were making progress. But if you look at it critically, you will find that the reverse is the case. We don't seem to be making all this progress. And in my view, this is very challenging. I have always, as a student of political science, shared the late Professor Sam Aluko's views that there is no linear relationship, for instance, between democracy on one hand and economic, social, and political development on the other hand. But then what we have in Nigeria today, unfortunately, seems to be the fact that in as much as some practitioners within the system, if you take the electoral system, for instance, I would say without any fear of contradiction, that between 2003 and until 2023, the level of political apprehension that Nigerians had in the process had substantially changed because of the relative improvement as far as the chain of electoral management and conduct of elections, and the behavior of the election management body is concerned. But then, what about the attitude of the Nigerian politician that eventually becomes, the political leader, that becomes the leader in government? I would say that the negative is the case because, it is very clear. As a student of political science, I find it difficult to appreciate or see any wisdom, in the attempt, to perhaps make Nigeria a one-party state. Anybody can tell you that the other day, Abdullah Ganduje told us that, there is nothing wrong with one-party system. China does it and is not complaining about it. I don't expect a doctor of philosophy. I don't expect someone, of that political statute that has so long to, begin to make such a statement, or even the president himself, who came to say something like that. That's not Western liberal plural democracy, and that is the system that we have been trying to copy. So I share Eze's views. I share, Jide's views that it is not yet Uhuru. In fact, we seem to be progressing in error because the areas that were supposed to measure attainments after 26 years, if you look at them very critically, you will find that, unfortunately, we have retrogressed rather than progressed. 26 years, it is not yet Uhuru. And even if you take about, Eze was making a lot of comparison as far as the relationship between the military and the people, or the civilians and the people, governance, is concerned in Nigeria. And you will find that if you take, we're all practitioners. We've been here since military rule. We've been adults since military rule. We are still alive now that it's 26 years of civil rule. But if you look at the level of dilapidation or collapse in the Nigerian political, economic, and social system, you will find that it's been worse between 1999 and 2025, than it was between 1960 when Nigeria, obtained flag independence from colonial Britain, up to 1999 when this administration. So while we celebrate an uninterrupted, 26 years of civil rule, I think it's also important for us to take a critical review of the nation, especially those of us that are old enough to do that, because these are not issues or things that you can, comfortably or easily read in any book, to be able to see and compare, but he who feels it, who knows it best. So that's basically it. You take, this period between 1960 and 1999, and then you take between 1999 and 2026, and see the level of degeneration as far as the national economic frontiers are concerned. Then, of course, you are left with no option than to say, look, we need to rethink again. The Nigerian political class needs to strategize, in order to be able to understand the essence of democracy and good governance, instead of all this idea of aspiring and then struggle to conquer political power, for reasons that, as far as I'm concerned, translated into reduction of the quality of life of the citizenry of this country. So it is not yet Uhuru. I share the views of our colleagues, and I think we're not critiquing per se. We are only asking, calling on the political leadership to read the handwriting, to look at the mirror. The picture there is not very glaring. It's not as beautiful as it should be. And 26 years after civil rule, with the tremendous, and the abundance of resources we have, it shouldn't have been the way we are today.
For your opening comments, the views seem to be similar.